Taylor Walker laughed as he dared Alicia to call the one person who could fire him. He thought it was a power move until the phone clicked. He didn't realize Alicia hadn't been sidelined. She had been building a forensic file that turned his brilliant deal into a professional execution. One sentence changed everything. If you believe integrity always outlasts ego, click that subscribe button now, because this is where power gets tested and arrogance pays the price. Taylor Walker didn't lead meetings. He dictated them. As the regional managing director, he operated with a loud, aggressive confidence that relied on burying any opposition before they could speak. He was the kind of executive who mistook silence for agreement and used his charisma to dominate every conversation. The quarterly review centered on his brilliant acquisition of Riverside Capital Holdings. On the surface, Taylor presented record-breaking growth and a seamless integration that had the board applauding. He had forced the deal through months earlier, dismissing skeptics as risk-averse and cutting off anyone who asked for more than a surface-level summary. But the success was a fabrication. Taylor had deliberately hidden undisclosed debt transfers and inflated performance metrics to make the deal look profitable. He even routed a quiet consulting fee to a firm he had previously advised, assuming his authority made him untouchable. He had spent weeks reassigning Alicia Grant's analysts and blocking her access to data, convinced he had successfully sidelined the only person capable of seeing through the metrics. Taylor believed he had won, unaware that his arrogance had left a paper trail he couldn't erase. Alicia didn't push back when Taylor removed her from the Riverside integration meetings. She knew that in a corporate environment, vocal dissent often gets labeled as being difficult. So she retreated into the data, where Taylor couldn't see her. While Taylor was busy presenting a polished narrative to the board, Alicia began a quiet, forensic review of the Riverside acquisition. She started with the public filings, but quickly realized the numbers didn't align with the internal cash flow. She discovered the Riverside Addendum, a set of side letters Taylor had intentionally kept off the main server. These documents revealed millions in undisclosed debt transfers and a consulting fee routed to a firm Taylor had previously advised. Every time she got close to a specific ledger, she found her access revoked or her analysts reassigned to higher priority projects under Taylor's direct orders. He was trying to blind her, but his aggressive attempts to isolate her only served as a map, showing her exactly where the bodies were buried. Alicia worked late, documenting timestamps and internal approval chains that bypassed the risk department. She didn't go to Taylor with her findings. She knew he would only dismiss her as being risk-averse again. Instead, she followed the company's internal ethics protocol, escalating the matter silently to the one person Taylor couldn't intimidate, Chairman Watson. While Taylor believed he had successfully sidelined her, Alicia was actually finishing a report that would make his brilliant acquisition his professional tombstone. The quarterly review reached its peak as Taylor finished his presentation, leaning back with a smirk that signaled he already considered the case closed. The board was ready to vote, but Alicia raised her hand, her voice cutting through the congratulatory murmurs. She didn't sound nervous. She simply asked for clarification on the Riverside Addendum. The room went still. Taylor didn't flinch. Instead, he laughed, a loud, dismissive sound that invited the other executives to join in on the joke. He told her that if she thought she had any leverage, she should go ahead and call whoever she thought could fire him. Alicia didn't argue or show emotion. She simply pulled out her phone, placed it in the center of a table, and dialed. After 2 rings, a voice answered that every person in that room recognized instantly. It was Chairman Watson. Taylor's confident posture didn't collapse immediately, but his smile tightened at the corners as the chairman's voice filled the room. Watson didn't waste time with pleasantries or corporate jargon. He asked Taylor one direct, lethal question: why the Riverside debt had not been disclosed to the full board. The silence that followed was heavy. Taylor's mouth opened, but the aggressive charm he usually used to bury opposition had vanished. He looked around the table for the support of the executives who had been laughing seconds ago, but they were all looking at their notes or the floor. There was no explanation Taylor could give that wouldn't admit to fraud. He had spent months ensuring only 3 people knew about that debt, and now the one person who held his career in his hands was demanding an answer he didn't have. Chairman Watson didn't wait for a response. He simply announced that the vote was paused and that a discussion regarding interim leadership would begin immediately. The dial tone from Chairman Watson's call was the loudest sound in the room. Taylor stood frozen, his hand still hovering near the phone, as if he could somehow reach through the line and take back the last 5 minutes. The charisma that had been his greatest weapon was gone, replaced by a gray, hollow look of someone who realized they had finally run out of people to intimidate. Within 20 minutes, the corporate machinery that Taylor had used to crush others turned against him with clinical efficiency. 2 members of the IT security team entered the room without a word, waiting for Taylor to hand over his laptop. His access badge, the key to the kingdom he thought he owned, was deactivated before he even left the floor. There was no dramatic shouting or physical escort. It was the cold, quiet formality of the process that seemed to hit him the hardest. As he packed his personal items, the same executives who had laughed at his jokes and cheered his record-breaking numbers suddenly found themselves very busy with their phones, refusing to meet his eyes. They weren't just avoiding a fired man. They were avoiding the mirror Alicia had held up to their own complicity. Legal counsel arrived to schedule a formal review of Taylor's previous consulting affiliations, signaling that the investigation into the Riverside debt was only the beginning. While Taylor was being phased out of the building, the board took less than an hour to appoint Alicia as acting director of strategic risk oversight. She didn't celebrate or gloat. She simply opened her laptop and began the work of untangling the financial mess Taylor had left behind. Alicia had quietly protected the company from a regulatory disaster that could have cost millions and destroyed the careers of everyone at that table. By the end of the day, Chairman Watson sent an internal memo to the entire organization with a subject line that simply read, "Integrity is leadership." It wasn't a long document, but it served as a final reminder that power without character is just a temporary illusion. Taylor Walker hadn't just lost his title or his high-floor office. He had lost the room and the respect of his peers. As Alicia watched the city lights flicker on from her new position, she knew the lesson was clear. Those who lead by fear and deception eventually find themselves standing alone when the truth arrives. The dial tone that ended Taylor Walker's career didn't just signal a change in leadership. It served as a final warning to anyone who thinks a high title is a license to operate without a conscience. In the end, it wasn't Taylor's aggressive charm or his record-breaking metrics that defined his legacy, but the contracts with overpricing and the hidden debts he thought he could bury under the weight of his own ego. He learned the hard way that while arrogance might win the room today, integrity is the only thing that keeps you in it tomorrow. Alicia Grant didn't need to shout to be heard. She simply relied on the truth, proving that the most powerful person in any boardroom isn't the one with the loudest voice, but the one with the cleanest hands. As Proverbs 16 verse 18 reminds us, pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. If this story made you realize that character is the true currency of leadership, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next dive into the real-world consequences of corporate hubris. We have many more insights coming your way that pull back the curtain on power and responsibility. Drop a comment below telling us which city you're watching from and share your thoughts on whether Alicia handled the Riverside Addendum the right way. Remember, respect is the minimum, but the truth always settles the bill.